When digital photography came along, it brought with it huge efficiencies in production for image manipulation, exposure, contrast, visual effects. We also got inkjet printing, which came a long way really fast, but it also displaced a lot of this beautiful legacy technology of 20th century photography, this classic silver print media. While people were becoming more efficient and productive with their image editing, the inkjet technology was really irresistible in the sense that they could get rid of the darkroom, get rid of the chemistry and the running water, and so on. But we did lose something. And as this was starting to happen in the early 2000s, I was looking around and saying, boy, do we really have to sacrifice this beautiful legacy medium, which works perfectly and looks beautiful. And I started looking at making a silver medium printer that would expose traditional and larger darkroom paper from digital files. And I had to set that aside for a few years, but I came back to it about 3 years ago. And the product of that is this here. This is the silver pixel printer. And it exposes a digital file onto traditional photochemical and larger paper. The photographer loads the photosensitive paper onto the drum. During the printing, the drum is spinning around at high speeds. That scans the pixels onto the paper in the one axis, and the print head here travels along the length of the drum to scan the pixels on the other axis. There are 400 pixels per inch, and currently the drum is spinning at 10 revolutions a second, so it's easy math to figure out the print times. It's about 6.5 minutes for an 8 by 10. It's about 14 minutes for a 16 by 20. The beauty of it is that the output from this machine is visually indistinguishable from something that you'd see from an enlarger using the traditional techniques. These are absolutely beautiful silver prints. They're sharp and clear, and they have beautiful tonality. And I am just really pleased with how this has worked out. And so I'm ready to start the process of productizing this thing. This is the prototype. The plan is to start a Kickstarter campaign in September of this year, 2019, and to raise funds to make a product version of this, certain changes and improvements. Making a silver print is a craft with a hands-on aspect to it. The fact that it's not easy, the fact that it's not just clicking a button, the fact that you had to do it in a darkened room and handle the paper and develop the print, this has a craft appeal. When a couple gets married and hires a pro photographer, or they have a photograph taken of a child or whatever, that photograph, that physical photo, is a cherished artifact, and it's appropriate. Many pro photographers now turning to these traditional printing technologies, silver printing and larger printing. These are value-added services that help distinguish them in the marketplace. What the silver pixel printer does is it bridges this beautiful classic silver media technology to the efficient digital workflow, and it does it on-site in the pro photographer's own darkroom. There are a few service bureaus that you can hire out to get silver prints from your digital files. This machine from the beginning, though, was conceived not for a service bureau, but for a pro photographer's own darkroom. It's small enough to fit on a tabletop. It uses cut sheet paper instead of roll paper, and it will be priced for a pro photographer's personal equipment budget. Analog media technologies are seeing a resurgence of interest. They're not going to be the mainstream like they were, but there's a lot of new interest and revived interest. There's a resurgence these days in all kinds of analog media. Vinyl LPs their pressing factories are at capacity. Physical books, analog film photography. It's really interesting to watch. Well, it used to be that people used analog photography because it was the only way to do the work. Now they're using analog photography because it's not digital photography. It's not proprietary to any company. It's always been an open public domain technology. Nobody owns it. Nobody owns silver printing. And as long as certain kinds of chemicals will be available, anybody can do this photographic technique, this technology. If somebody were to purchase a machine like this and then the company went out of business the next day, the machine would keep making prints year after year after year until it broke down. And the principle of it is so simple that if it did break down, that some talented mechanical technician could probably get it running again.